Casey Hunt, talk about the Republicans on the Hill behind you. This has been, again, of all the tumultuous weeks, we thought that the week with him shoving aside members of NATO was bad and trying to arm wrestle the president of France. We thought that was embarrassing. We're finding out that he's, of course, cutting out lines from speeches when he was speaking to NATO. What is there any crack in the resolve of these Republicans to be known for the rest of their lives as Trump Republicans, as Trumpists, as enablers of Donald Trump, as people that are engaging in the cover-up of an investigation between potential ties between Russia and the President of the United States administration? Any cracks in that wall at all?
Joe, I think that you are going to be able to see on the screen plain as day on Thursday part of the answer to that question, if they really are going after James Comey on these questions that the president does not really want them to be talking about. I think right now there's still this kind of underlying sense of fear. And I think all of those things that you walked through, all of those events, Qatar this week, when Bob Corker, chairman of Foreign Relations, was told about that by a reporter, he looked extremely surprised, almost ran the other way. All of these things are contributing to a sense that these Republicans don't know what to do, but they're trapped against all of Trump's voters. They're still afraid of what the voters might do in 2018 and 2020 to them.
And they're sitting though, Casey, right now. He's sitting at President Bannon's at 36, 37%, and his obsequious aide are at 36, 37%. And the latest Gallup polls, even at Real Clear Politics average, President Bannon and his obsequious aide are below 40%. So are they at least saying behind the scenes what Democrats would always say when Bill Clinton was lying under oath, saying, God, this guy is such a horrible liar. I can't believe I have to go home and defend him. Are they at least saying that behind the scenes?
Look, I think behind the scenes, there's always been incredible nervousness about President Trump, and I think it's reaching a fever pitch now. And I do think the question you hit on is exactly the right one, and I think what to look for is this potential breaking point. I mean, this is a president who is increasingly isolated. I mean, all of these stories that we are talking about, all of these things that have happened indicate a president who is out there alone. You also, you talk about the tweets that he's been sending out and how his staff are saying, he's doing more and more of this. We can't control it. There's no war room for Comey because the president might be live tweeting. There's all these questions. Even his comments about Jared Kushner saying, oh, Jared Kushner's more famous than me. That's a little bit of a dig at a family member. I think, all of it is very much a risk for Republicans. I mean, even the stories yesterday out of the White House meeting where members of the Hill leadership came back and said privately, hey, he pitched a wall covered in solar panels, and he said that we could talk about it as long as we gave him credit for it. I mean, that is not something that they came back relating with a sense of deep respect, I wouldn't say.
So a wall covered in solar panels.
Green, Joe.
We had a question whether Newt Gingrich was involved in this administration or not. Newt, obviously. That is such a Newt Gingrich idea. A wall covered in solar panels.
It won't be it won't be full Newt, though, Joe, until we have a lunar base under the Trump administration.
It will still be beautiful, Joe.
Yes. So, Eddie, this is setting up to be an extraordinary day tomorrow. I guess the question is, how far does James Comey go? How much is he willing to say publicly in an open hearing? You'll have this parallel. It's hard to imagine a universe where Donald Trump does not respond to what's happening in real time or after the fact. What do you think we'll learn by the end of the day tomorrow? Will this be a different investigation by the day's end?
I think, first of all, I think this is high political theater. And one of the things that will happen tomorrow is that everything will become concrete. It won't be leaks. It won't be anonymous sources. We will have an individual making claims, specific claims, based upon his experience. And those claims will involve questions around collusion and questions around Russia. And so it won't be kind of, folks trying to figure out what happened. We will have one of the principal actors in the room. And so at this point, I think what will happen tomorrow, no matter what Comey says, is that the investigation, the questions around Trump, the questions around Trump and Flynn will go to another level.
Yeah, but
we'll go to another level of
what I'm
intensity.
struck by is that, we basically know what happened. I mean, Trump went on NBC and told Lester Holt that he fired Comey because of the Russia investigation. I mean, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because the president admitted that he was doing this because of Russia. So when Comey gets up there tomorrow and says, I was fired because of my investigation into Russia, yeah, we know that. Oh, he admitted it. And similar stuff, we have these memos. All these things that would have derailed any other political figure and certainly would have caused controversy that would cripple the administration have happened already, and yet here we are.
He can confirm, though, Joe, all the reporting we've seen, like, were you pressured explicitly by the president to drop the investigation?
And of course, what Dan Coates is going to testify to is going to just add even more authority to what Comey says. So, Mark Halperin, let me ask you the question that I asked Casey Hunt. Do you see any cracks in the wall?
Well, I think we'll see it tomorrow when the hearing begins. If Republicans are there to defend the president and challenge Comey, or if they're there to try to bring out facts. Embedded in Michael's New York Times story is, I think, the first take on the Team Comey trying to solve this question of why didn't you tell anybody about this until you got fired? And the account in the story is, I didn't know who I could trust at the Justice Department. Comey wasn't sure who he could trust at the Justice Department, including the Deputy Attorney General and the Attorney General, even though he spoke to them. And I think the question will be, again, the canary in the coal mine of where are Republicans' heads. Are they strategizing with the White House about how to undermine Comey in their questioning? They'll have half the questioning. Or is their questioning going to be joining with Democrats to try to get at the truth? I think that'll tell us a lot about where their heads are at right now.
There's also, Joe, there's a thread in this story, a couple of threads in this story, obviously. One of them is the answer to the question that will be asked Comey, why didn't you tell anyone? It's part of an investigation, an ongoing investigation, so that's probably going to be part of his answer. But the underlying theme here that is truly interesting, and you alluded to it earlier with Casey, is where is the courage on the part of the Republicans in the United States Senate? When do they summon enough courage to make a statement about what is going on to our country and their party?
We'll see it tomorrow, though. We've seen hearings up until now on this topic where Republicans have been there to carry water for the White House. Tomorrow is the opportunity for some members of that committee to actually try to get to the truth and to press Comey in a way to bring out the truth, not to undermine him.
Big story.
And if this ends up, if Republicans end up looking like they're reading the talking points from the White House, or from now the Trump-run RNC, or from certain cable news shows on other networks, and all they're talking about are leaks, they'll pay a heavy, heavy price in 2018 for caring more about protecting a corrupt, apparently corrupt president and administration than getting to the truth. It is so unnecessary. This Republican Party has to decide whether it is the party of Reagan and Lincoln or whether it is the party of Donald Trump and Michael Flynn. And a lot of that, Willie, will be answered tomorrow. A lot of that question will begin to be answered tomorrow. And if they choose to be the party of Donald Trump and Michael Flynn, they will pay a tremendous political price moving forward.
And we'll find out in about 28 hours as our giant countdown clock show. Oh, no, we don't have one.
Yeah,
we need that. By the way, can I ask you really quick? Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.